All right, let's talk about something you do pretty much every single day without even thinking about it. You drive through them all the time. But what if I told you that some of the most dangerous spots on your commute are the ones that actually feel the safest? Today, we're diving into same-direction intersections and the hidden risks that are lurking right in front of us.
You know the feeling. You're on your way somewhere familiar, maybe listening to music, and you pull up to a red light. It's a scene you've played out thousands of times. But right there, in that moment where your brain is on autopilot, you might be totally missing the subtle cues that could lead to a collision. And that's the real trap with these intersections. They lull you into this false sense of security.
So, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about that deceptive intersection and the illusion of safety. Then we'll break down the anatomy of a collision, what actually goes wrong. We're going to unmask the two main culprits, and then, most importantly, we're going to give you a defensive playbook. By the end, you'll have a completely new way of looking at your daily drive.
Okay, so let's jump right in with that illusion of safety. Why exactly do these intersections feel so harmless when they're actually a perfect breeding ground for accidents? Well, it's just human nature, right? We get comfortable with what's familiar. We've driven through these same spots so many times that our brains just kind of check out. They go on autopilot. But here's the thing we forget. Every other driver around us is probably doing the exact same thing. And that's when a simple lane change or an unexpected stop can suddenly turn into a total disaster.
So let's take a closer look at what happens when things go sideways. What does a collision here actually look like? What goes wrong?
You know, when things go wrong at these intersections, they usually fall into a few familiar categories. We've all seen them, and maybe we've even been in one. You've got the sudden jolt of the classic rear end, the incredibly frustrating scrape of a sideswipe, and then you have the really terrifying chaos of a turn collision. Oh yeah, the rear ender. We've all had that heart-in-your-throat moment. You're just driving along, and bam, the car in front of you slams on its brakes. Now, if you're lucky, you've got enough room to react. But if you're following just a little too closely, or let's be honest, if you're glancing at your phone, that's when you become just another statistic. And then there's the sideswipe. It's like the ghost of the highway, right? It just comes out of absolutely nowhere and leaves you with a dented car and a seriously bruised ego. It's the silent killer of complacency, the result of a split-second lapse in judgment. It's the kind of collision that's a sharp reminder that you are not alone out there on the road. You know, making a turn, especially a left turn, can feel like you're playing a game of chicken with oncoming traffic. You're trying to gauge the speed and the distance of other cars. You're looking out for pedestrians. It's a high-stakes gamble that, if you get it wrong, can have absolutely devastating consequences. Okay, so we know what can go wrong at these intersections. But to really understand how to prevent these accidents, we need to dig a little deeper and find the root causes. So let's pull back the curtain and unmask the two main culprits.
It really boils down to two things: excessive speed and driver inattention. Think of these two as the Bonnie and Clyde of the driving world. They're a deadly duo that's responsible for countless accidents. And when you combine the two, well, you're just creating a recipe for disaster. Let's talk about speed for a second. Think of it this way. Doubling your speed from 20 to 40 miles per hour doesn't just double the impact of a crash. No way. The laws of physics mean it quadruples the energy. You get 4 times the force. That's the power of speed. It's what turns a minor fender bender into a really life-altering event.
So what about inattention? It's not just about texting. It's about something called cognitive load. Think of it like your brain's available RAM. Ever been driving and you suddenly realize you don't remember the last couple of miles? That's cognitive load. Your brain is so busy with other stuff, a stressful day, a to-do list a mile long, that it just doesn't have the bandwidth to focus on driving. And in that moment, you're a ticking time bomb. Okay, enough of the scary stuff. Let's talk about how to fight back. It's time for your secret weapon against the dangers of these intersections. This is your defensive playbook that's going to turn you into a driving ninja. To conquer the sideswipe, you have to master the art of the lane change. It's a simple 4-part dance that will keep you safe. First, signal early. Let everyone know what you're planning to do. Then, scan your mirrors like a hawk. Next, and this is the one people forget, do the all-important physical head check for your blind spot. That move could literally save your life. And finally, you just glide smoothly into your new lane. And to avoid that dreaded rear-end collision, you need to create a force field around your car. Your secret weapon here is the 3-second rule. It gives you a buffer of time and space to react to sudden stops, but it's not just about following distance. You have to try to be a psychic on the road. anticipating what other drivers are going to do before they even do it. And of course, the big one, put the phone away. Your life is way more important than that text. Now look, these tips are way more than just a checklist of things to do. They're actually the building blocks of a whole new way of thinking about driving. It's about a fundamental shift from being a passive passenger in your own car to an active participant in the flow of traffic. I love this quote. It's about shifting from being a passive operator of a machine to an active defensive driver. Think about it. A passive driver is kind of like a tourist just trying to get from point A to point B. But a defensive driver, they're like a secret agent, constantly scanning the environment, always looking for potential threats, and staying one step ahead of the game.
Here's the best analogy I've ever heard for this. In the game of driving, you can either play checkers or you can play chess. The checkers player just reacts to the move directly in front of them. But the chess master, they see the whole board. They see the car in front, the car behind, the one in the next lane, the pedestrian on the corner. They're not just playing the game, they're controlling it.
So, I'm going to leave you with the challenge. What's the one new safety habit you're going to start on your very next drive? Are you going to commit to that 3-second rule? Are you going to make that head check a non-negotiable part of every single lane change? Whatever it is, make it a habit. Because out there on the road, it's the small, consistent moves that make the biggest difference.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.